Hey guys, this is Brandon. Welcome to the channel.
Carrie's here too.
We welcome you to our new channel. We just started today. We're going to cover a lot of information. We'd like you to feel free to leave all the comments and feedback you would like. Just do it with a mutual respect towards one another.
Balance and alignment with that, as opposed to getting pulled to one side or the other or this and that. As we all know things are coming. Things are going to get weirder and weirder and weirder as this thing winds down, and we need to be able to stay strong within ourselves as we go forward.
I think I was writing things down, so I just want to reiterate that it's all very, very important. Some things that Brandon and I have been talking about the past few days, especially about the different places that come about that we put our energy. I know a lot of people, in fact, almost everyone I talk to on a daily basis has talked about how much more tired they feel now, just absolutely drained, as if something is sucking the life out of them. And it's such a common occurrence. It has to be, in my mind, due to the changing of something in the atmosphere. So whether it's the light bulb in the sky that has been altered to absorb frequencies in addition to sending them out, or whatever, it's wherever the source is really irrelevant at this point. The fact of the matter remains that most people are feeling really drained and tired, winded. Some are having difficulty sleeping, probably because they're too tired to even go to sleep, or things keep turning around in the mind. And that's kind of what we were wanting to touch on, is different tools for clearing the mind. And when I talk about clearing the mind, what I'm talking about is actually clearing the energies within our own bodies that are in common or at the same resonant frequencies with the same densities or frequencies of those energies that correspond to this realm. So in other words, if I'm constantly rolling around in my head how horrid my ex was, constantly, that's making me have something in common with the energy of those feelings of negativity, of self-worth, of anger, of frustration, of rejection, all of these types of things. And so we want to probably come up with ways or discuss ways with all of you about how do we identify within ourselves what those things are, number one, and two, how do we remove them, and then three, the thing that most people are missing is probably the most crucial, and that is the simple fact that anytime we empty a vessel in this realm, we must fill it with the thing that we want. For example, if we remove a demon from ourselves, or an evil spirit from ourselves, or whatever we want to call it, a negative entity or energy, we must replace it with something that we do want in here. The reason for that is that their law, as found in the New Testament, actually, is that when an evil spirit is removed from a person, it goes out and wanders in the dry places. But it remembering that the body where it came from is now clean and set in order, it gets 7 of its buddies and returns back to that house that's empty, making the latter stage of that person far worse than it was in the beginning with just the one entity there. And so the precedence is set in their own laws, in their own rules, and the way this world functions. And so once we start to see these things, and that's something I hope to really keep bringing to the conversation, is the things that I have learned. It doesn't make them right or wrong. I'm just sharing the knowledge that I've gained and learned after doing this for a long time. Things that have really, I feel, helped me to grow. Things that make sense. And once we understand how this system functions, then we can learn to function within it and stop opposing it. That's where we're all wasting too much energy, is we're standing and and opposing it. And what we do, even though our intentions are good, is when we oppose a thing, we actually feed it and we strengthen the possibility that it will recur. How do I know this? Your basic psychology teaches this. B.F. Skinner, in the box experiments that he did when he caged his child in a box, these were one of the things. Pavlov with the dog slobbering when it hears, a bell coupled with food. These are all basic things they have learned over the years. But once we learn their basic rules and the way that the things are that they have to function by, then we can learn how to function within it, not breaking their rules and not opposing them, but overcoming them and taking the higher path, the middle path, the narrow path. And so that's kind of what I was thinking. Brandon, do you have anything to throw out there?
Yeah, definitely. I was going to mention what practices we talked about earlier as far as visualization, and I did find a picture from a friend. It's 9 ways to clear and protect your energetic field. And if you want me to, I can read those off real quick. They're not terribly difficult if you just have the intention and you do it. But would that be okay?
You bet. I think go for it.
So the first one is to visualize. Imagine a ball of brilliant golden light in the center of your chest and expand that light on each exhalation. Next one would be clear the field. Close your eyes. Imagine your hands full of light. Do an energetic rub down as you sweep your body. Number 3, light candles. Choose a candle with a color that resembles the energy you're calling in. It says light them while in prayer. And prayer meaning to your higher self, to your spirit, not outside of you. Number 4, medicinal baths. Using sea salt, clay, and or herbs and make a healing soak to cleanse the body. Number 5, smoke cleansing. Use protective plants, barks, and resins to cleanse yourself with the blessed smoke. Number 6, grounding cord. Imagine luminous energy running from the top of your head to your feet into the ground. So like taking a walk would be a good idea for that one. Is how I kind of see it, just like spreading out the energetic field as you take a step. Number 7 would be salt and flower spritz. Use a spray bottle filled with water, salt, and herbs like rosemary, citrus to bring you joy and clarity. Another one I've also heard is peppermint oil is very well for that. Make an altar. Number 8. Create a space with images, symbols, colors, tokens of love that remind you of peace and love. Number 9, decording. Locate the emotion, person, or place that feels stuck. Imagine yourself removing that cord. Let it dissipate. And to go into what we talked about earlier, I don't think we didn't record any of that, but the visualization practice where you're spreading your arms out as far as you can, releasing that tension, that energy that you feel like is holding you back in that moment, and visualizing and going within. And the way you phrased it was to picture a long hallway, like a stream of time, and doorways. And these doors would have trauma, trauma A, then trauma B. And you go through these doors and you go into that zone and release that trauma bond that has been there. It could be from a young childhood state, it could be a middle-aged state, an older state, it really doesn't matter. But you have to, like you were saying a moment ago, once you clear that space with your golden light or your bright light, you have to fill that space with something else. And that's what I haven't been doing, that I know I need to work on. Instead of leaving that door open, rather fill the space with something that's more peaceful and joyful, and then close that door, and then that thing will then go away. That way, your bonds, your contracts, your any consent that you've ever done with that is now off the table. It's out of the way. So you're creating a very narrow pathway towards your true light, which is within, through the heart.
think those are some good things. I wrote them down just briefly right there. I think that's a great place to start for people that are familiar with those particular things. My own methodology goes a little beyond that into really a purifying self-examination. My intention at this point is to get away from the things that are typical and common to the people that purport the love light and stuff, or follow your guru, or you must adhere to these teachings, or my way or the highway type of thinking. Because honestly, I don't care. I don't care if anyone believes a word I say. It's okay. I'm getting to the point where my existence is not dependent on someone else's approval or disapproval or whatever it is, their slander or anything. I don't even want to discuss them. For me, it's better that they just be a non-entity as far as I'm concerned, and I put them in the sea of forgetfulness, and I don't think of those things anymore. And so I've learned over time, and it's been a very hard journey, but it has been worth it. But I've learned over time to revisit those things as what was brought out when you were talking about the long corridor with the various doors on either side, and those would be of significant life events, working from now going backward all the way to your earliest memory as a child, or you could start with your earliest memory as a child and work forward, and be those positive events, negative events, whatever. It doesn't have to only be trauma. It can be the significant, wonderful pat on the back type events where you felt very good about yourself. You felt clear, you felt alive, you felt free. And so those are also significant events on this timeline. And then visiting those doors, I did that more as an adult with a deeper understanding. And most of those I found were emotional and behavioral. I'll be honest, they were spirits living in there, and most of them were quite hideous. And so I went in, and with the help of my own holy, W-H-O-L-E-Y, Holy Spirit, which would be my higher feminine essence, not female. This is very important to understand. The only place where gender exists is in this generation of this three-dimensional, two-dimensional, one-dimensional existence that we live in. You have male and female here, probably up to the fifth or sixth density. And then after that, even in their own writings, most of the ancient writings have these quote-unquote what they call angelic beings or higher beings. They may identify as, and I'm not talking about the common vernacular of today at all. This is what they pattern it after, is a twisted sense of that, and where they have sexualized absolutely everything. And that's not how it is in the higher, more pure essences. But in getting that feminine essence to our own Holy Spirit, with whom we seek to reunite, to go into those rooms and cleanse them and remove what does not belong with you, whether it be the bad memories, the emotions attached to them, the behavioral things, whatever those would be, remove them. And then after removal, you must go back through there with your own Holy Spirit, however you choose to do it. If you want to see yourself saging the whole room, get every freaking corner, top, bottom, left, right, up, down, inside, outside, and upside down, everywhere. However it is that you feel like you need to do that, and get every bit of it cleansed and filled now with your spirit, your pure essence spirit, your own holiness, W-H-O-L-I-N-E-S. That's the color I'm thinking.
Oh yeah, no, very well put. That makes me think of there's a guy named Hattie Mikowski that talks about a past life compiculation. I think that's how you say it, where you just kind of go back through those. You go within and you go back through those memories, and so therefore any life review at that point would be null and void, because you've lived it, you've reviewed it, you've let go of it, you've bettered yourself because of it and moved on. I think that's excellent. Very well put.
And I think there's a place for the past lives as in previous incarnations. And I think that there is a place for us to bring healing into those things if we're shown in our own spirit that healing needs to occur. I do believe that certain curses or entities, familiar spirits, because they travel in families with which they are familiar, and they inflict things down that particular bloodline. So for me personally, I do believe these things are very real. But we have the power in us to break these things off. But the first key, and this is very crucial, is that we must become aware of these things. So when we sit around and we say, oh, I don't believe that, or it isn't real, then bless your heart. Good luck. And, this is probably not the program for you to listen to. Because I think here what we had in mind is to tackle these things as if they are real, because honest to God, when none of us has been over there and we don't have that memory, even if we've gone into multiple visits with other people who claim to go over there, we don't know if they really do or not. We don't know if they're reading from some other script on something else. And so I am a huge proponent of listening to your own self. We can get a sense of maybe validation or support or a direction or an idea of a way to go when we listen to other people. But ultimately, it's our own voice that we need to train ourselves to hear and to pay attention to.
I agree. The intuition. Absolutely.
And so I think even with that then comes the past life review in two ways. One is down the family bloodline, where you can you take authority. You see commonalities, like for generations, I don't know, we can say that somebody died of heart disease for the past 20 generations. Well, that sounds to me like there's some kind of a curse going on there. And so then that would be, since you would be the one aware of it, that you stand up and speak against that curse, that demon, and you command it broken, and you push it off, and you take down the monument erected in its memory, the tombstone that marks that event or that malady or that thing going on. We've got to remove these things, and then we fill the hole in with our holy, W-H-O-L-E-Y, not H-O-L-E-Y, like what they have with their religions here.
Exactly. Do you think the best way to do that is through like visualization, or do you think maybe doing a journal of things that you're noticing would be more ideal?
I think it's a little bit everything. I think it's so multifaceted. I think that each person's going to for me, building an altar would be totally wrong to do.
Yeah,
all
I was thinking that too.
lives that I have ever built. Decording is to me the same thing as cutting off. I am all about that. I am not transmuting any freaking darkness. I want it the hell away from me. And so that's just me. That to me kind of goes with the notion of clearing the field, which was the second point you had brought up. To me, the only candle I want to light is the one within my own self, my own divine spark, if you will. Medicinal baths are really great for just a variety of different things, because we do dwell in these bodies. And for now, for all intents and purposes, this body is our home at the moment. So to loathe it and mistreat it would be kind of silly. And so it's incumbent upon us to take care of it and to respect the thing we're in as we begin to really awaken to what the truth is about what's going on in those things. But the most important thing is that we don't get caught up in the spiraling rabbit hole, because it goes ever downward and there is no escape once you get out, until you're aware that you're in it and your desire is to be out of it. And then that's when things will change.
Yeah, that's for me exactly what happened. Things it seemed to get chaotic quickly. It's almost like I got into a sort of awareness where it didn't want me to be, where it didn't expect me to be, or going off script, all the things, and it let me know that quick.
That's correct. And so when things like that happen, when you're doing this big awakening in the quote unquote journey, and you start to see things and question this reality, they open up the gates of hell and send everything at you to quash you back down into get back down in that pod, rehook back up into this shit. And I'm about pulling the plug on those feet. And so that's why I don't look at a lot of other people's stuff. I do look at stuff every now and then if I run across it and it witnesses with my inner witness, if that makes sense. But if it doesn't, I don't just go in and blindly believe, and it's feeding something in me. And so that's not my holiness that feeds. It feeds the residuals of this system that remain within me. And my goal is to remove those so that I am so purified that I can leave here and return to the realm that is pure, that is only good, that is only light, that is whole, and a true eternity, actual eternity. And but I have to do that work. That's not incumbent on anybody else. And somebody else doing something with or without me, we have to be very careful about the things that they bring along with them. And so I did a clearing one time. It's been probably 4 or 5 years ago with a guy that was a friend of mine who could do it over the phone. And it felt okay for a little bit. I could kind of sense a few things, but anyway, later I find out that he's got an incubus or succubus demon. And see, I had already removed all of those years ago, and so I didn't see it right off the bat. And then he started manifesting different things he would say when he was just talking, and his focus was always turned into that type of a direction. And so I cut ties. I'm not to be ugly or anything. I still talk to him every now and then, but I don't open myself up really to anybody. I protect my spirit above everything else.
It's like the same idea of like an addict who wants to quit smoking. Like, people are going to be placed around them that encourage them to, here, just have one, or the invites are going to start popping up and decide rail you and all that stuff, or distract you from what you're supposed to be doing.
You're 100% correct. And how do we know this for sure? I challenge anybody to discuss a topic in front of Facebook or Google or something, and sit back and wait and watch, so you start seeing the advertisements come up on your phone about that very topic. And so that's exactly how these demonic entities function. Whatever we want to call them. I don't know, and I don't care.
That'd be a good topic for, I think we've mentioned it before, like the rules of the Matrix, and kind of that way we can work around them rather than be subjugated by them.
I think that's an idea. I think that's a good idea. The things we stand in opposition to, that actively demonstrates that we're still connected to it. So back to the question about behavioral psychology, is that's what's called negative reinforcement. We always hear about with kids, oh, you're supposed to use positive reinforcement, reward that good behavior. Well, I'm telling you that what we're not being told, that I did learn in school, was the concept of negative reinforcement. Then you have punishment, and then you have extinction. And so it's a quadratic setup of a square that's divided into fourths. And so positive reinforcement at the top corner and opposing it is negative reinforcement. So the negative reinforcement, for example, would be the child, you go to the grocery store, who screams and wants a candy bar and screams and puts on a bad show and screams more, sits down on the floor, pisses all over the place, this and that, embarrasses the tar out of you. So you go and buy a candy bar and give it to the kid, and boy, you're just going to show them and they'll never do that again. Wrong. You just made sure that that child, every time he wants a candy bar, will do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
That because it's negative to you, it was very positive for that kid.
100%.
Reward is well worth any punishment that it might get, once it gets home. And so count the cost. And for children and to these entities, in a sense, we are children in a variety of ways. But I think those of us that are waking up or putting away our childish ways, and we're realizing who we really are and stepping into that. But negative reinforcement is something that we really, really need to look at. And that's probably one of the biggest plagues I see in this entire community, is that people will identify and isolate a particular group and determine that they do not like them for whatever the reason is. And then they will constantly ride them because, oh, it's one of them, or, oh, it's that. Did you see it? It's one of those. And what happens is you just fed them. And you just made certain that that type of entity or personage or behavior will be multiplied and magnified. And that's exactly what we're seeing today. Why? Because all of us have at some point, even though it was negative and we didn't want to see it, our either hatred of it or our constant mindfulness of it and focus on it has actually energized it and ensured its own existence. We just fed the stray dog and then we wonder why it won't leave.
Oh, totally right. Absolutely right. I was going to say, any closing thoughts? We're getting to the 30-minute mark, so I wanted to see if to keep the video shorter. Do you want to, you basically just summed it up very, very well, but I think giving away our energy to things that decrease our own light within have to be let go of. In any kind of, I don't want to call it ritualistic way, but something that will make you feel at peace with letting it go. Stepping ahead of it, beyond it, and not, we've used the analogy about the relay runners, how they don't look back, and they have to meet at a specific point to pass that baton to the one ahead of them. That one ahead of them can't sit there and just look backwards the whole time. They're gonna lose time off of their overall score in the track meet or whatever. So to keep the eyes forward in front of you, in the present, in the now, regardless of what's happening over here with, the actors on the stage or the propaganda machine or the monetary this. If you just stand in your own power, then nothing is going to stand in your way, because that's what the Spirit is going to provide and part the seas, if you will, for that to make way. Like coming together with other people, it's just going to fall in place, because you're doing the spiritual work. You're letting the Spirit guide you, as opposed to the egotistical, the old ways, the addictions, the traumatized things, the human mind. You kind of push that away.
Oh, excellent points. I love the thing of the runner and the passing of the baton, even if it's our old self passing our new self the baton to carry on of our own spark and our own holiness on our own race of life that we're running. The problem with turning around and looking backward is that inevitably that will be the very time that we stumble and fall, and then that's it. We're stuck there. And so that's why I think it's important to, we're aware of what's behind us, but I think what is ahead of us is so much far greater that what we've gone through pales in comparison to the sheer wonder of once we get our focus where it needs to be and on to where we are going, I think that it will be, we'll sit here and wonder why we didn't let go sooner. I really do.
I do too. Let it unfold.